What will happen if real estate agents don't use AI? ChatGPT said they will not survive. In the same way that travel agents did not survive.
Well, hello. We're excited to be here today with a man who has been a friend we've been honored to have in our life, I think close to 30 years now, Allan. Believe it or not.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Come on.
We're so honored to be here with Allan. Talk to him today to learn more about his new book. Allan has always been an industry leader, a visionary. He's highly respected for all the new ideas he brings, focusing on marketing, ways to advance our business as real estate professionals. He's an excellent dancer. People talk about that all
Oh,
the
yeah,
time.
especially when he's doing his presentation. He's always up there dancing it out.
Honestly, if you ever get a chance to see Allan up in front of a room presenting, I'll just tell you, wear a seatbelt. That's an
Yes.
experience that we've enjoyed many times. And I'd be remiss if I didn't add the fact that Allan was a professional basketball player to this day. I think you're recognized as the #1 pickup basketball player anywhere. Our goal here today, we're going to have Allan tell us about his book. We feel, and across the industry already, the rave reviews, 𝘃𝗶𝗶𝗍, Anthony Lamacchia, Craig Proctor, other visionaries, leaders of the industry are all saying this is probably the most important book you may ever read. Clearly the most important book for anyone in real estate, whatever area of real estate, for you to be aware of now as Allan digs into the importance of AI, how to apply that successfully in our business, how to win a competitive edge with that, and the things we need to know, not just to survive, but to thrive as we move forward in a whole new world of technology and real estate. So, Allan, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Well, Dennis and Teresa, first of all, thank you for that very kind and overly generous introduction. And I must tell you, as I obviously age, as it's revealed in my face and countenance, when I hear such praise, I'm starting to think, is that going to be my eulogy? Did you just give me a eulogy or an introduction? But let me say this.
That was good.
I'm glad that you mentioned that this is a real estate related interview or podcast that we're doing, because when I look at you and Teresa and all those guitars, people are going to think you're coming from the Grand Ole Opry, and we two are #1 country western performers. And so it's great that you can make the adjustment from to remodeling to overall real estate. And it's always an honor to be with the two of you. And on behalf of anybody in the industry and everybody, thank you for your contributions to real estate, bringing added value. Everybody says they're in the real estate business, but they sometimes overlook what real estate is. It's construction, it's remodeling. And you are the two gurus in that realm. And I think we connected on that because we've always been fascinated with how to add value to realtors as they add value to their clients. So again, thank you so much for having me.
Well, and talking about adding value, let me hold the book up here. We're talking about agent to AIgent. And Allan has been known now and then to turn a word or a phrase and is excellent at it, but this is actually so powerful. And let's just jump right into it.
So quick first question. Why did you write this book, my friend?
Well, there's always a multitude of reasons, but let me narrow it down to a few. First of all, I've always tried to be a step ahead of where the industry is at presently. I was a CEO of Realtor.com and 30 years ago or so, and I think Realtor.com was very progressive. And then I've done a lot of innovation in the industry. And at my age and at my time schedule, I really believe that I might be one of the only people that could tackle this subject comprehensively, because I don't know of a real estate broker, CEO, prodigious producer, team leader, or coach that would ever have this time in their life, because they're too successful, to take 5 straight months and do extensive research. And then a lot of the people who have written books on AI and real estate, I don't know any of them that have the deep real estate industry knowledge. And the fact that I was CEO of Realtor.com, I was Senior Vice President of Research and Development for a prestigious global network, I thought I was very well suited. I felt that putting that all together at this time with this need, with the industry is really scratching its head. How much of an impact? How do I use it? Will it disrupt us? Will it make me more successful? I felt that that was a great intellectual assignment, but one that I had to make very practical.
Absolutely. I just wanted to ask another question very quickly, if I could. And that is, if you just kind of, in a nutshell, just like an overview, if you ran into somebody at a bookstore and they're holding this book in their hand, should I read this book? And again, without getting a lot of detail, what would be the elevator
Pitch.
why should you read this book as a real estate professional?
If somebody did ask me that question, I would try to encapsulate it in this way. Everybody in real estate, if they're going to remain in real estate for years, obviously they'll have no choice. And many, if not most, are already using AI and ChatGPT specifically in certain elements. But the real challenge is this. If real estate agents only use it the way they're instinctively using it and intuitively using it, that is, let me write classified ads, let me get some comments, I'm going to do a video, let me talk about lead gen, let me perform these tasks, let me help with my CRM, my business planning. Most of those things are basically designed to help a realtor, and they're great reasons to use AI to help real estate agents become more efficient and to delegate. But very little of those exercises have much to do with improving the lives of consumers and clients. And so within the book, I start off by making these comparisons. I went to ChatGPT and I prompted, how are real estate agents using AI compared to how psychologists and financial advisors are using AI? I opened the URL, Real Estate Trusted Advisor. I've had it for 15 years. Although that URL is far less valuable today because the consumer is also going to go to artificial intelligence for information and advice. In fact, I asked many realtors, if you wanted to know where home prices might be in 3 years in Florida or in these two states, would you go to the agent who sits next to you in the office, or would you go to ChatGPT? They all say, go to ChatGPT. Well, if you're going to ChatGPT to advise and inform you about real estate, where do you think the consumer and client is going to go? So therefore, that means that the consumer will not need real estate agents as much for information or even advice. They'll need them to interpret advice, and they'll need to help them consult before they advise. And so here's what the book does. It basically compares how financial advisors are using AI completely differently, and it shows what they're prompting. And one thing that's notable is that when the realtors prompt, very seldom does the word client ever appear in one of their prompts. But with psychologists and financial advisors, essentially every single prompt is, how can I help my clients become more knowledgeable? How can I help them? How can I help them with this therapy, that therapy? How would you compare this treatment versus that treatment? That isn't the way that most real estate agents are using it. And so the last part of this overview would be this. I started out by, when I was CEO of Realtor.com, and I created the real estate financial planning system, and I brought that to them many years ago, the board of directors asked me to hire a consultant, and they surveyed this question to the consumer. Where do you go for advice in terms of whether you should buy real estate? Number one was their family and friends. Number two was the neighbor, then financial advisor, and then real estate agents.
Wow.
So I remember you talking about this study, right? And this opened up a lot of eyes. Exactly.
Yeah. And so in 2025, and doing research for the book, I asked AI, if agents don't use AI properly, where will consumers in the future go for real estate advice? Number one was AI, family, friends, financial advisors, and then realtors. Then all I did is cut and paste. The next prompt was this. This is 340 pages, just a little speck of the book. Then I asked this question. If realtors use AI to empower them to do in-home consultations when people are not in the market, because the average homeowner is now staying there 12 years, okay, how will that change where consumers will go when they're going to list or buy real estate.
Well, real quick question, Tree, you were going to ask
Yeah,
that.
the evolution of the real estate agent, because you mentioned that in the book.
Yes. The evolution first was an agent who was involved in marketing, selling, and networking,
Right.
that and advising, but now it's got to be into consulting. Okay.
I see.
Because you've got to consult in order to advise. But when I asked ChatGPT, will realtors rank if they use this for that reason, they'll be number one. AI will be number two. Financial advisors basically disappear. Almost everybody disappears. That's why the title of the book is Agent to AIgent. It's not that people are going to be half human and half machine. It's that they're going to have to merge, and they're going to have a triangular relationship with clients. It's going to comprise of the real estate agent, real estate consultant, the homeowner, and AI. And they'll basically be using AI together to get the same information and advice, but then the agent and the homeowner will both use AI together so they can consult and make decisions and have strategies. And so that's so optimistic, because I think that AI represents an opportunity for the better agents to completely take over, because most agents do not have the gravitas to encourage and excite homeowners to be loyal to them for the rest of their lives, even though that's asked for that. That's why they came up with the term past clients, which I've been 20 years. That makes them a past agent. So what's going to happen? AI will empower the better, more sophisticated agents who will use AI to consult first those 12 years with the people out in the market. They'll get referrals. They'll bring in vendors for home improvement and remodeling. That's your specialty. They'll get referrals and listings and buys from them. And then when the people do buy and sell, they'll list with that agent who's consulting with them. And the other thing that it will do, and I teach this in the book, not to sound too pedantic, is this: that the more that agents are empowered and educated and bring in value like remodeling, like home improvement, what's going to happen? The notion of the sphere of influence will change now. It won't be just that I have a sphere of influence. Now I'm influencing my sphere.
Right.
And it won't be just that I have one sphere of influence. I'll now have spheres of influence, because I may have 200 people in my sphere of influence, but each of those people might have 200 people. That's 40,000 people. Now, they're not going to get 40,000 listings, but when they go in and provide this value, like remodeling, should we move, improve, or relocate? When they go in, and that's part of their consulting, how do you appeal your property taxes? How to have home savings? Those homeowners now are going to be deputized. They're going to be people in their sphere of influence that are not in your sphere of influence as the agent. Oh, by the way, Dennis came over, Teresa came over, we're putting in a new kitchen.
Well, to that point, Allan, we often talk to the agents about the fact that with the right knowledge, with the right positioning, that forever agent mindset that you always talk about, they can expand their sphere of influence. And we already have our residential remodeling specialists out there saying, look, I'm marketing to neighborhoods where there's homes 20 years old or older, and I'm explaining to them the services we can provide, the value we can bring. Are you thinking about remodeling, thinking about home improvement? If you'd like to know the value of your home, would you like to know the value of your home based on a CMA the way it sits? Or would you really like to know the value of your home if you were to make strategic improvements, which, as you know, we call our RVA, remodeling value analysis, and they are growing their sphere of influence. And in addition to what you're talking about was simply the referrals. So it's powerful.
Well, Dennis, this is where the three of us connect, because you know that many, many years ago, I created for Better Homes and Gardens, the home merchandising system, because there was an organization, seventh largest publishing company in the world, that had an immense repertoire of home improvement ideas, but they had never connected it to the real estate industry. So I created that. And then at my own company, I created, but it wasn't backed by what you provide agents. I created an MMA. I asked myself, wait a minute. The dean of the Harvard Business School said that everybody should ask themselves two questions in all businesses. Number one, what do we do that our competition does, but that we do better?
Do you want to grow your business by adding a new homes revenue stream?
I really do, yes. Our free new home market analyzer gives you instant market insights.
Just enter a zip code or a city and get builder activity, permit data, pricing trends, and more.
It's easy, and it is built just for you. Totally free. Follow the link below to register and get started instantly.
And number two, what do we do that none of our competitors are doing?
Right.
So I always approach the company that we built the 60 offices, and I said, wait a minute, every single agent in America is doing a CMA, okay? Why should I use their terminology? So I created the MMA. It was called a master market analysis.
Remember
We
this.
advertised. CMAs will give you an estimate of value, but an MMA will show you how it can enhance your value. But what we didn't have is anywhere near as much behind it, and we weren't remodeling specialists.
Right.
So that's a great service that you're providing within your universe, that when people become specialists through your program, that could also encourage them to be able to put on their social medias. If you're looking to sell your home, don't settle for a CMA. You need an RVA. That's why I'm a remodeling specialist, okay? And here's what I believe. I prompted ChatGPT with this question.
Wow.
But that isn't all ChatGPT said. But who's AI? Hey, come on, we're smarter than artificial intelligence, are we? No. But ChatGPT added to that. Here's what it said. In the same way that travel agents did not survive unless they're special advisors on trips and not on
Right.
in the same way that life insurance agents did not survive because of financial planners. In the same way that doctors, other than those who are surgeons, will not survive if all they do is give reactive counsel. And if they don't become more proactive, they will be eliminated because people will use AI. Because in my book, I cite the Beth Israel Boston Hospital in Boston, where one of my 3 blessed daughters were born. They did research, and they had the doctors diagnose a patient and the physicians. Then they brought in AI, and then they had AI through deep learning without the doctor's participation. I think it's in the New England Journal of Medicine. AI was number 1.
And isn't that something?
The doctors and AI were number 2. And then the doctors by themselves were last. And
Incredible.
so people don't think that agents need to basically use AI and do remodeling and home improvement and how to appeal to property taxes and give a more fulsome explanation to how's the market versus I've never been busier, or I've used a few more listings. It's low inventory, or are you buying, selling, and investing, where who like their question to be turned into a question back at them? There's going to be a struggle.
You know what, Alan? I don't know why, but it's because I talk to agents every single day, right?
I know you do.
So many of them still resist the whole AI. And I say to them, I don't know how old you are, okay, but I actually remember when the World Wide Web came out.
I am.
Right? Everybody was like, oh my God, what's this going to do? They were afraid of it. They didn't know what to expect. But guess what? Every single person has embraced it, which is exactly what you're talking about.
It is.
All the agents have embraced the internet, and that's exactly what AI is all about.
Just to add some color to what you were talking about. So here you are talking about financial planners and doctors and some of these other parallels. And what happens is those folks get to sit down. If they're structuring a relationship properly, they're listening to their clients, explain to them, here are our concerns, here are our problems, here's what we'd like to achieve in our life, and particularly with the proactive stuff where they're talking about how they want to be healthier and advance their life and so on. That's the sweet spot for someone who really wants to be an advisor and build that lifetime relationship. What we say is, listen, if someone calls you into their home, a couple invite you in because you're now going to bring some value relative to the remodeling. We've got a remodeling planning checklist. We've got a cost estimator. We're going to give you design ideas. We've got an AI visualization tool, all these things. What a sweet spot for a real estate professional to be sitting there, listening to them say, this is what I don't love about my house. This is what I hate. This is what I dream of. And as a real estate professional now, we now not only build a great relationship, but we now help find the solutions. In many cases, that's going to mean they ought to really just pack their bags and buy another home. But we're there at the front line to help them make that decision.
We're doing the HI. You need the human.
Exactly.
Not only
That's well put. That's well put. Here's a few other dimensions to what we're talking about and what we both represent. I think one of the reasons why the one and only 𝘃𝗶𝗱𝗲, the GOAT,
Yes.
is all over this book. He bought 20 books personally. According to 𝘁𝗵𝗶𝗀𝗋 2023, he named Gino the #1 leader in the industry. And he read this book very comprehensively. There's a few other things that I think are worthy of adding to our discussion here and dialogue. Now, I ask a lot of agents, do you think more buyers in the future will go directly to the listing agent than in the last 10 years? And almost to a person, everybody says, Allan, they already are. How much more? Oh, it's going to be a lot. I prompted ChatGPT, what impact will AI have on for sale owners? And it said right now they're 6 to 7% of the marketplace. They should go to 15 to 20%. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that doesn't mean AI is always ready. And they came out with that in 10 seconds. Okay.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
But here's the problem. It is a fact that more buyers are going directly to the listing agent. Now, here's how people in real estate who only play real estate checkers respond to that phenomenon. Well, that just means that getting listings are even more important. That's even more the name of the game. That's a checkers player.
Mhm.
Here's how chess players think. When homeowners see that the buyer didn't have representation, it's a thought in their head, then why should we be paying for representation, especially as
Right.
AI takes over more functions, negotiating, staging, how to get a
Mhm.
mortgage, how to have an open house, and so forth. Because once you weaken either side of the real estate symmetry, the seller side, the buyer side, it weakens both sides. You don't need a strong defense attorney if there's not a strong plaintiff. You don't need a great offense in football if there's not a great defense. So why am I saying this? Because unless agents, in my view, and a lot of the book is about this, and it's so simple to do, use AI to empower how they do in-home consultations and create relationships, triangular relationships with AI. That's why it's agent to AIgent. Increasingly, the public will go to AI as their search engine. And at the
Mhm.
very least, they're going to have to wrestle with who's going to charge them the least. We all know fees are negotiable. But the point is this. That's why it's all the more important. And that's why I've been working on the book and working on the program with some of the greatest minds in the real estate industry. There's no way anybody is going to sustain consultative value without using AI, especially in an industry that had a history of not even giving information. When I first got into the business,
Sure.
my training, it said, when somebody calls on an ad for information, don't give it to them. Just repeat their question. Does the home have 4 bedrooms? Do you want 4 bedrooms? So the industry has a history of not wanting to give information, never mind trusted advice. So we're way behind the curve when it comes to providing information, advice, and consultation, but everybody can catch up in one day, and it's all the prompts you need to use.
Oh, absolutely.
If prompt it the right way. In fact, I own the URL, Certified Real Estate Consultant,
Mhm.
real estate designation, and I'm working with some very special people to bring that to the industry. That's the only place, that's the only direction thinking real estate agents can go for years to come. Now, I'm not going to be in this business for years to come, but a lot of agents, they plan on being more than 5 years, 10 years, not for
Mhm.
me. And so
Yep.
I think that this will help the top agents because what they'll do is this. They'll evolve their database to a client base,
Right.
okay? They'll stop just thinking what they've been told by every coach. Treat your business like a business. They'll be taught, no, also treat it like a professional practice.
Practice.
Because
Mhm.
businesses have customers and practices have clients. That's
Right.
why people who are doctors, dentists, my brother-in-law who's a surgeon, third in the Heisman, just sold his oral surgeon practice
Mhm.
because agents have been told to treat it like a business. Businesses have
Hey there, friends. If you want to tap into new home sales, this tool is a game changer.
The free new home market analyzer shows you what's being built, where, and by whom in your market area in seconds.
And no digging through data. Just type in your zip code. It's free to use. Follow the link below to register and get started instantly.
customers professional practice clients, but they can't sustain client relationships unless they use as their source and their resource artificial intelligence.
Do you think AI has been picking up your brain enough so that when you decide to just relax a little bit more, it will have picked up enough of this stuff from you? Because it's a two-way street, Alan. You know that.
No, it definitely does, not just for me, but from anybody. For example, I own the URL Real Estate Trusted Advisor, and I also own Trusted Advisor Network. And I asked AI, which of those two monikers do you like better? And they came back and said, we like Trusted Real Estate Advisor. But the answer was this, because that's what agents are using more. But just because agents are using it more doesn't mean that's better to say real estate trusted advisor. Keeping in mind, the reason I got the certified real estate consulting.com is because in very few professions, if any other, will you ever see the word trust. See, doctors don't think they have to say I'm a trusted doctor. You ever met a doctor who said, by the way, Teresa, that it's just so you know, I'm a trusted doctor certified. So have you ever heard anybody say trusted attorney? See, trust is acquired. It's implicit. You have fiduciaries have, I can't even say with my Boston accent, have a ethical obligation to be trustworthy. And so it almost, when people say you can trust me, why do they have to say that? You mean a lot of your profession? Does that mean that a lot of your profession can't be trusted? But I'll tell you what they are going to relate to. I'm a real estate consultant. I call it the new math of real estate.
That's what I was just going to ask you. Tell me, are you talking about that in the book? What is the new real estate math?
I introduced this concept to my clients, but like any good concept, you would expect it someday to evolve to the industry, because you can't keep good ideas down into yourself. I came up with the new math of real estate through this logical exercise. I started asking real estate agents this question. Bill, Susan, when you go on a listing presentation, you call it that. I like a marketing proposal because people don't want listing presentations.
Right.
But when you go on what you call it and what your coach calls a listing presentation, what percentage of the time do you get the listing? And I get from 80 to 95. Few people say I get all of them, right? I thought I saw in Zillow that 82% of the time when an agent goes on a listing presentation, they get the listing. What does that tell us? The industry does not have a listing presentation problem. Now, have we spent the last 50 years exhaustively with the greatest example of overkill of any concept in the history of the free world? Of course we have. Because some people, they can make a lot of money teaching people something they really don't have to improve that much. Okay. Now, one of the reasons is because according to the National Association of Realtors, 75% of homeowners only bring in one agent. You can't get those odds in Vegas on any
That's
game.
right.
You're right.
That means that the industry has spent decades of years, agents have spent hundreds of millions of dollars of coaching to be coached how to make the listing presentation as opposed to how to help somebody renovate, remodel. So that's the beast that we're dealing with. But you're trying to correct that. And agents who do, they're making millions by following what we're talking about.
Yep.
Great.
So now,
Right.
if you're getting 85% of the listings, that's a listing presentation is a solution in search of a problem that never existed. What your real problem is, you're not getting enough appointments. So let's take a market, and I use this example in Long Island. Long Island, Brooklyn, and Queens is 13 million plus people, millions and millions of homeowners. The average price is almost $1 million. That means that agents make about $20,000 on a transaction side. So if somebody gets 80% of the listings, that means they met 10 homeowners. They get 8 listings, they made $160,000. Oh my goodness, with all of your knowledge, you advised 10 people over the course of 12 months? Oh, busy bee. Imagine being a doctor. Oh, by the way, I met with 10 people last year in their homes. It's not their fault. Here's why it's not their fault. Because a lot of agents aren't going to invest a lot into direct mail. They're not going to do as many videos. Maybe they think like me, they don't have the face for it. Okay.
Yeah.
So in other words, people have been hearing for 20 years, put your video on everything, social media. They're not making fortunes. They're not going to invest hundreds of thousands of direct mail. So that shows you the old math. They're not calling FSBOs every day. They're not calling expireds. They're not calling 1,000 different organizations. That's why there's a 20-80 law in real estate. 20% of the agents do 80% of the business. But that's unique to real estate. 20% of doctors don't make more than the other 80%. 20% of salespeople don't make more than. Why does that exist in real estate? Because 80% of the agents don't want to do what the 20% of people
That's right.
have to do to be that successful. Or they
New homes are a huge opportunity, but most agents don't know where to start.
That's why we built the New Home Market Analyzer. It gives you a fast, clear look at your local new construction market and helps you uncover new opportunities.
You have to try it today. It's free. Follow the link below to register and get started instantly.
But they can't do it. So what should we do? Should we just get rid of them all? Should we let them sit there and wallow in mediocrity? No. Maybe there's another path to making money. The old math is the transactional math. The new math is the relational math. Now, how does that work? If you met with 2 people a week, 100 a year, you had 100 consultations, which would take 100 hours. So if you made another 200,000, you'd be making $2,000 an hour. Right now, if you make 100,000, 40 hours a week, you're making $50 an hour. This is the new math now. Right? How many appointments do you think you'd get from these? Hey, well, I get 30. No, you're not going to get 30 of them because only 10 are moving. Well, if they're 10, well, I'd get 8. Okay, that's another 160,000. Okay. Now, how many of those, as Anthony Lamacchia always talks about, sell buys? How many of those people are going to both sell and buy? 4. Well, there's 80 more thousand. Now, how many of those people, because part of your consultant is home remodeling, improvement, home savings, how many of those people, how many people do you think you'd bring in as general contractors, plumbers, electricians, these people? How many referrals would you get from them? I get at least 10. Okay, there's another 200,000. Okay, so 340,000 or whatever. Now, because you're not just influencing your sphere of influence, because if all of them have 200 people in their sphere of influence, even though they're 200 people, how many people in your marketplace do you think know when somebody's going to sell or get divorced before you know? Thousands and thousands. This is the way you get to them, because within your spheres of influence, that's where you're going to get all of your referrals. So from that group that's ever expanding, how many more listings? I get at least 20. Well, no, let's be conservative. Your math. We're going to use your math. Well, that's another 200,000. Now you're 450, 480, 200,000. Now, how many of you, if somebody came to you and said, we'll pay you $400,000 to meet 2 people a week, and that's a guaranteed salary, how many of you would take the job? But you can have that job, but you have to have value. You can't talk about home improvement if you don't know what you're talking about. You can't have home maintenance if you don't know what you're talking about, because you didn't have to talk as much about home maintenance with a buyer, even a seller. You talked about staging. This is the staging. This is merchandising. Okay. And the funny thing is this, the public is dying for this because the consumer actually approaches real estate agents about real estate more than real estate agents approach. Actually go up to real estate agents every week. And how's the market? More than agents go up to everybody at the cocktail party and say, you want a market update? Thinking about selling, because it isn't politically correct, if you will, to borrow them. And so this is the only way that I can think of is can exponentially increase their income, because you know what? A lot of them are never going to knock on doors. Their excellent breeding is an impediment to that type of behavior.
Well, you know, Allan, Dunn and I always say this to people.
Doors, because I used to hammer FSBOs on the call. Oh, but I'm calling from the 𝘃𝗶𝗍 division. Oh, Allan, you're the 10th person to call. Oh, let me come over so we can put an end to that. Okay.
Yes.
But most agents aren't going to be machines and not aggressive. We have to find another path. And then for the people that are making 300,000, we can help them make 600,000.
That's right. We share this in all our sessions, and I know you're going to agree with us. You never hear, because we are all students of success, clearly. You never ever hear the success story. You know, I just kept doing what I was doing,
Oh,
and
yeah.
all of a sudden I tripled my business. When the heck do you ever hear that
Yeah, I
success
didn't
story?
learn anything.
I didn't learn anything new.
Didn't try anything
Just kept
different.
doing what I was doing.
And, and back to that
Yeah.
point, I will tell you, I am about 3/4 of the way through the book. It is absolutely a roadmap. Anybody out there is saying, I don't understand AI. I'm not sure how to use it. How is it going to affect my business? Allan, the work you have done on this is just
Exceptional.
amazing. And when you said you spent, what, 5-6 months of research, I can't believe, and I know you used ChatGPT, became your best friend, helping you as you asked the right questions, but it's all in there. It's absolutely wonderful. Any last thoughts you'd like
Yeah.
to leave?
Last thought is this, and it goes back to something that our friend Chris Stewart popularized, and that is the whole issue of the real estate loyalty gap.
Right,
The
right.
fact that 90% of consumers say they're going to return to their agent, and yet less than 12% do, according to the National Association of Realtors. But the thing is this, there is a real estate loyalty gap. Once agents, and that's why I came up with the thing, let's get rid of past clients. Once agents establish consultative relationships, in the same way that insurance agents had to go to become financial planners to sell life insurance. Once agents establish that relationship with their friends and their friends of friends, no one will ever invade it or penetrate it. It won't be 12%. They'll all stay because they will have a very meaningful substance, no pressure in a home at a time when the homeowner is never going to say, well, what's your commission? Or how long have you been in the business? Or how many homes do you sell? Or we've got a friend in the business. That's because what agents have to do, they have to convert the notion of database to client base. And I'll say the last thing is this. I may not be right, but I'm convinced that right now, if anyone watched this program and Google or even went to AI and asked this question through a prompt or a query, tell me what the #1 lead gen systems are in the real estate industry. Let me tell you what would never come up. The agent leveraging their sphere of influence. And here's why that never comes up. Because that's the only one that's for free. And no one else can monetize the agent. Keep charging real estate tariffs. I don't call them referrals. I call them tariffs because they're not expanding the marketplace.
Right.
The #1 lead gen system is using AI now. In-home consultation, getting with people, taking an hour or two, and owning them in a nice way, because what they're going to do is they're going to deputize their sphere of influence. See, people have been farming for years, but they've been planting the wrong seeds. What's they doing? Market updates. They don't need you for market updates. I just sold a home. They can find that out. Big deal. Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. It's like a hamburger place saying, we sold so many hamburgers last night. Well, I hope so. You sell hamburgers. Big deal. People have one doctor, one lawyer. They've got 5 real estate agents. We've cracked the code here. Why do we crack the code? Because I combined my real estate planning work with my in-home consultation. I have tapes on it from 40 years ago. I connected my real estate planning, my in-home consultation with a specific program, which I won't reveal because I just do that for my clients, along with how to more effectively use AI, basically create clients for life, get rid of the word past clients, develop a professional practice that the agent can sell someday. And if anybody else has even remotely a logical path that competes with this, let me know and I'll retire this afternoon. That's not the case. Go to Amazon and learn how to do this.
I would love it if you would have been a little more passionate about this.
We should get into it now next time.
But we know how busy you are.
Yes.
We just thank you so much for the work you've done. Thank you for your friendship. And we look forward to seeing you again soon. We hope everybody rushes out
To get the book.
get a hold of this book and realize this is not just about AI. This is about the future of real estate, your career, everything. So thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Take care.